Hi, it's Elyse, your host, and you're listening to Time with Elyse, where we explore Not Forgotten, our products, and of course, the benefits of story preservation. I am making this podcast to touch upon various stories and elevate the conversation around stories. So, we are passionate about storytelling here at Not Forgotten, and especially about keeping our legacies alive. As always, I want to put out a disclaimer. I do work for Not Forgotten, but it is simply a podcast that we're elevating the conversation. In this episode, we are focusing on mothers, and we do recognize the importance of sharing information with one another. With Mother's Day quickly approaching, today we want to talk about our mothers, what our mothers have taught us, and what would be great content for time capsules if you guys do decide after this that you want to buy a time capsule with us. Would love to give you some ideas on how to best utilize that, especially with Mother's Day right around the corner. Mother's Day is in 2 days for any of you guys wondering, so this is a great time to do this. Before we get started, I want to play a short video of one of our guests. Actually, her name is Catalina. She talks a little bit about why she made a Not Forgotten time capsule. And so we're going to look at that really quickly before we bring her on and to talk about her experience. So stay tuned.
So why I'm doing this, I think it's a great gift to give to my kids and their kids and their grandchildren, to be able to preserve a history of who we are and what we've done in our lives. Living away from our family makes it difficult to be able to share those moments, and so being able to capture those moments and capture a history of what we've done and what we've been, and share it with them is fascinating. Since they were born, I've kept memories of them. I've taken pictures of them, I've taken videos, and I've shared them with our family, which is far away from us. And some of those videos get lost, some of those videos are kept, but we never really have a good way of taking care of them and preserving them. And what a great gift to be able to do that, to have them see who we are, what we do in life, and even see what they do themselves in life and how much they change and how much they evolve. And there's so many challenges ahead that it would be great for them to see themselves going through life and seeing how they actually evolve and change and become great human beings. So my grandmother turned 90 this year, and I try to put together this book of memories using her old photos and finding old pictures and old memories, but there was something missing. And the idea of being able to hear her voice telling us her stories is just fascinating. So I really want to do it. I want to do it because I think it's a gift for her, it's a gift for us, and for our children and their children, to be able to keep that memory of who she is and who she was. And the same thing for my parents, or their grandparents. I think everybody in our family should do it, to be honest. It's a great way of looking back and looking ahead as well. Now I see this as a great opportunity to do it, and I want to do it for her, but I also think I want to do it for me and for my husband and for my kids, so we can share our lives and we can preserve our memories. What a great gift to have.
Okay, guys, so that is Catalina, and luckily we have her as a guest today. And we are going to be talking about Mother's Day, of course. If you just joined in, this is the episode for anyone, who loves their mom, holds their advice close to their heart, and wants to preserve it for generations so that their loved ones can also benefit from what mom has to say. So I wanted to just bring her in, hop right into it. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of this podcast, and I would love to bring her on right now. So I'm going to do that. 1 second. Here we go. All right, Catalina.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you want to introduce yourself, to everyone and just give them a little idea of who you are.
Yeah, sure. I'm Catalina, and I'm 45 years old. I've got two kids who now look way much older than in that video that we did almost, I can't believe it, it's like a year and a half ago, but they just grow so fast. I am a mother of two kids. I worked for 15 years in an international company, and now basically I spend my life with my kids. They both have special needs, so they are, really dependent, but they're both happy, and I enjoy motherhood very, very much. I live in Houston right now, but I am originally from Colombia, South America.
Yes, I love that. I noticed the accent, so I wanted to ask where you're from. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to do a time capsule. It must be interesting looking back. As you said, your kids were much younger when you guys filmed that, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. When I look at them, they actually now they grow so fast that they look like babies. They don't look like babies anymore. So it's actually great. I think we should do this every year, to be honest.
Yeah, to capture the evolution of you as a mother and also them. I think
Yeah.
it's in a way that photography and that sort of like flat media I don't think can capture their mannerisms, the way that they smile and all of that. Do you agree?
I agree. And actually, I think, just doing it on purpose for like, just capturing like that moment in time, and maybe just, taking the opportunity to think about what we've accomplished, like kind of like in the last year, or even if we do it every 2 years, it's special. I mean, I have like millions of photos and videos of the kids, but I think
Yeah,
taking the time to think through it and capture that and record that is a great idea and a great opportunity.
exactly. Yes, I love that. And talking more about you as a mother, since it sounds like your kids take up a majority of your life. Share with us, what is one of your earliest memories, with your mom? Because, you're a mother. Let's take it back to your generation. Your mother. Tell me about her. What's one of your earliest memories?
I think, I mean, so many memories, but quite frankly, if I try to look back at a very early memory, it's difficult. And I think, just it gets back to how important, how great idea this is. I just have amazing memories of us laughing together and cooking together and yeah, doing lots of like fun things. But I do have one memory that stays in my mind, and it's probably the earliest memory of us together. And it's just being very sick, very ill, and just having my mom next to me and knowing just that by just seeing her and feeling that she was there, I was going to feel better. I always have that memory, and it's probably the memory of like the early, my earliest memory with her.
Yeah. No, I love that. I definitely know that moms, across the world offer an immense amount of comfort to their kids. How did she offer you comfort when you were sick? Like when you're thinking about that memory, is it her voice or the way that she took care of you? You know?
I think it's everything, It's just feeling, it's just knowing that you're loved and you're being taken care of, but also just having that person that is the person that you look up to, just being next to you. I mean, obviously with comfort and care and providing, if we're ill, just providing the right support. But it's just that feeling and that connection that I felt that I kind of like look back and I think, it was, you feel it like, and feeling sick is just so overwhelming, and when you're little as well. So having that person next to you, I remember that. I remember those moments in particular. It's quite interesting how I just look back at that.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I definitely am 24 and I still feel like when I get sick, I turn to my mom for comfort. So that's
Yeah.
great. So, with your mom, I'm sure she gave you a ton of advice growing up. Was there something that your mom told you when you were a kid that you swear you'd never do, or something that she did as a parent?
Something that she did as a parent, a lot of things, I'm sure, because when we grow up thinking that we're going to be better, in a way, we grow up just kind of like pointing fingers, but I laugh because I remember especially something, or just because I see myself doing it today, and I see myself and I basically kind of like definitely sound like my mom. I look back and I think I told my mom, I didn't like her to repeat things and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them. And now I find myself repeating to my kids the same thing over and over again. And I see my son, who's 9.5, saying, "Mom, don't say that anymore. You've told me that a million times." So I am doing it.
Yeah.
Perhaps I didn't listen very well, and my kids are not listening very well, but I'm definitely sounding like my mother and doing something that I definitely thought I wasn't going to do.
Yeah, no, that's funny. I'm sure she'd be super surprised if she watched you. Are you able to see her, since you live all the way in Texas?
Yes, we just had them visiting, and it's funny because we sound very much alike, and the older I get, or the more I look like her and I sound like her. So it's actually become like a family joke as well. And my husband actually says, you're sounding like your mom?" And I actually quite like that. I don't mind it. It's just
Yeah.
fantastic to sound like her.
Oops. No, yeah, I get the same thing. I get that I look exactly like my mom, so it's always funny. I don't know if you guys look the same.
A little bit, yeah, I do a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. So I guess, when we're talking about Mother's Day, the topic, of course, motherhood, being a mom, having your own children. You've mentioned that you have two. So tell us a little bit about your children. I'd love to get a better idea of who they are.
So my son Cristobal, he's going to be 10 in the summer. He's this happy boy, full of life, just happy and very sensitive to everything. He loves animals, he loves nature, he loves the planet. He thinks he's a vegetarian, which is quite funny because we eat a lot of meat, but he doesn't eat vegetables. So it's actually very tricky. I'm like, well, you're going to be a vegetarian, but you don't eat meat or you don't eat vegetables. How are you going to do it? Anyway, this is a happy boy full of life, who loves animals and dinosaurs and that sort of thing. Obviously, video games, Minecraft, and that thing. And my daughter Ella Gabriela, she's 8. She turned 8 in January. It's almost 8.5, and she's this free spirit girl full of happiness and healthy, as she never gets sick. She's autistic, so she struggles to communicate what she feels and what she wants, but she finds many ways of communicating and many ways of just being amazing. So both of them are like these amazing people that hopefully will just grow up to be great human beings. They're happy and healthy, which to me is the most important thing.
Yes, of course. Above all else, happiness and being healthy for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so with all that being said, what was the first year of motherhood like for you? Was it difficult? Was it fun? Did you expect what you went through?
Yeah, fun. It was fun. I mean, and quite frankly, that's a good question. If I look back, if I think of the first year, I think I remember mostly being happy, just, feeling joy. But I mean, it felt kind of surreal having like this little baby just being now my full responsibility. So there was just a lot of happiness and a lot of joy. But I think at the same time, there's just so much pressure.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I remember feeling a lot of pressure to do the right things, to make the right decisions, and to be kind of like perfect,
Yeah.
which is wrong. When you have the second baby, you totally just forget about that. You do things much more, what you feel like you should do. But the first years, there's a lot of pressure that I think we put on ourselves as mothers. So there's a lot of overthinking and a lot of, feeling that massive responsibility. But I think in the end, just all of that love that you feel and all of that joy overcomes that and erases that. So if I think now, it was just lots of joy, But if I just really go into the details, there was probably kind of like a roller coaster. Some days were good and some days were bad, or just, some hours were good and bad. But it's just
Yeah.
great. Just
Yeah.
great.
It's funny that you say that. My mom always says the second child is easier because you've already done, everything you can with the first, and you've made your mistakes and you've learned from that. So you kind of adapt with the second one, and it's just a lot less, it more carefree, I guess, right? Because you're,
Yeah, no, I agree with your mom.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I love that. And what kind of advice, would you give for other people experiencing their first year of motherhood, maybe?
I would think just go with your heart and your natural instinct, because there's nothing written. Every kid is different. There's obviously 1.5 million books to be read, 1 million people that want to give you advice, all with positiveness and love. But in the end, it's you, the mother, and together with the father, if there's a partner there, that you make the decisions, and they're never going to be perfect, but as long as you're following your heart and following your instinct, things should be okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. A lot of people get very anxious, being a mother. It is a lot of pressure. It definitely freaks me out, but I know that, once you have
Yeah.
a kid, it seems like, once you have your child that you kind of figure it out as you go. Of course, there's some planning involved, but,
Yeah.
speaking of planning, did you guys, plan to have kids? Like, were you ready, or was it more so of a spontaneous decision?
No, we did. I mean, we lived in England 10 years, and we were both working. So it was time for us to have kids. We had them late in our marriage.
Yeah.
We were like almost 11 years without kids.
Oh, wow.
Um, yes.
Good
So
job.
we made the decision to try for kids, because we were kind of like the clock was ticking. So it was there. It was then or never, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm glad that you did it because they clearly bring you a lot of joy. And,
They do.
it is a broad question, but, for the audience listening, what has being a mother taught you? I know that you've probably learned so much, but just a few things that maybe come to mind.
So many. I think the list is endless, but patience, it is, there's no limits for patience, and that to me is the most important thing. Like, there's just no limit, because patience, the more patience you have, the better listener you become, the more appreciative of your kids are as individuals.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest learnings is perhaps that we cannot decide who our kids are going to be. So we can't just sit there and think, okay, my kids are going to, we have expectations. But the biggest mistake is to think that you can just decide what your kids are going to like, how they're going to behave, what they're going to be good at. You can't really design your kids. You can't just be their support. You provide them with the support that they need, the guidance that they need. But you gotta understand that each one comes with their own personality and their own way of being, and you gotta respect that. And I think that the less you battle with that, the less you try to change them, the more you welcome who they are, the easier life is, and the happier everybody is. That's a big learning, because as always, we all have expectations, right? So when I remember when I was pregnant, and my husband and I used to be big sports people, so we were like, okay, our kids are going to be all into sports, right? And they're not. So and the list is endless, but yes, it's that you can't really decide who they're going to be. You got to let them be who they are, and obviously give them their the foundation, the values that are important in life, and give them the support and the guidance, but never expect you're going to design them or change them if you don't like what you got.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I really like your point about, you and your husband thinking they'd be like athletes, because I always said in my past podcasts or my past lives that, this would be such a great gift, a time capsule for mothers, especially new mothers that have like newborn babies. I could just imagine them holding them and predicting for the future what they think their baby's going to look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you had kids, besides the sports, is there anything you really thought, I guess like the expectation versus reality, even with their personalities or their likes and dislikes? My brother and I are complete opposites. So I'm wondering, if your family is kind of similar in that retrospect.
Yeah, I mean, I think I laugh at this, because my mom still says, "Oh, your kids are so well behaved. Like you, I was a very good student. It's all organized in school and all of that. My kids are so not that. They're both like free spirit, and I love that, right? But kind of like getting used to that was
Yeah.
weird to me. But my husband is kind of that, so I think they get like little bits and of each other, and just welcoming that, I think, has been one of the biggest learnings. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. They probably help you loosen up and become more of a free spirit as well, right?
Yes, totally. I have to, because otherwise I'll just, now I am a free spirit for sure.
Yeah, no, I really love that. I'm definitely the same way. My brother's very rigid, and I'm more of a free spirit. So definitely, I understand the difference for us. And thinking about being a mom, since you've been a mom for a little bit now, what is one of your happiest memories? Of being a mom.
Wow, that's a big question. There's
There's a
so
lot.
many,
There's so
yeah,
much. It could be like a travel memory.
there's so many great memories, and I think all of the greatest memories are, I think they're connected to me seeing my kids experience something that gives them joy, right? So as opposed to accomplishing something like academically or learning to walk, I think it's more around them experiencing something that gave them joy. So if I think of Crucible, I'll never forget the first day we took them to a natural science museum. I mean, he's a big dinosaur kid since he was
Uh,
like one. And I'll never forget when he turned around the corner and saw that big, massive dinosaur, like the skeleton, the,
yeah.
the, the skeleton of one of those massive dinosaurs. I think it was the T-Rex, perhaps, which is his favorite. I'll never forget his face. I actually have it on a video, of course. I should
Oh,
actually have it on a time capsule. But there was just so much joy, and it was kind of like astonishment at the same time. He was like like astonished, like he couldn't believe what he was seeing, but also just so much happiness. And I'll never forget his face. And every time I think of it, I actually smile like this because it was just
uh,
amazing. And I
no.
think if I think of Gabriela, maybe the first moment she saw the ocean, first time she saw the ocean for she just we were not even planning on going swimming, and it was a cold day in Galveston in Texas, which is like gray, not even a beautiful beach, nothing. But she just saw the ocean and she just wanted to walk in. She didn't care. It was freezing. The water was freezing. The day was freezing. The waves were like 5 times taller than her. She just wanted to walk in and never come back. And every single time we go to the beach, she's exactly the same. So it's like those experiences and their happiness and their joy that they are experiencing. I think those actually are kept in my memory and are my happiest moments in motherhood. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you say you had pictures of your son at the museum?
Yes, I have pictures and videos of. I know I have thousands, and that's why I think I should actually have, like, I should do like a time capsule every year, to be honest,
And
because
just
the amount of
uh,
videos and pictures I take are
mm,
endless. But the problem is that, like, how do you keep them? How do you make sure that they are preserved?
yeah.
This is why this idea is so amazing.
Yeah. I mean, what did you do before? And I see that you really love the time capsules. You understand exactly, why we launched this initiative and created this kind of product. So, what were you doing with your photos and videos before Not Forgotten Time Capsules?
Well,
You take a
you
lot. It sounds.
lose them, basically lose them, because a lot of things you save on a hard drive, and then that hard drive doesn't work with a new computer. I mean, this starts becoming a nightmare, right? Because you use technology that doesn't work anymore, and now you want to bring them back, and now you can't actually connect it with the new computer. It's just a nightmare. So
Yeah.
yes, a lot of things are kept, but a lot of things get lost, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. So if were telling someone, I don't know if you are vocal to other mothers about your experience with Not Forgotten to hopefully help them with their pictures. I know that my mom, for example, takes a ton of pictures of me. She wouldn't want to lose them. So do you ever, encourage people to make their own time capsule?
Yes, yes, and I think the more public you make all of the little videos that you make on your website and on Facebook. I try to share them because I think the more people see what can be done and how easy it can be done, right? So people are not scared of like that. That's just so difficult, and now you have to have like a professional person doing it. No, it's just easy, simple, and fast. And yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
And
and I'll
yeah,
continue to
for
do
bringing
it.
it up as well. These are easy to use. We designed them to be easy. And
Yeah.
actually, when I created the Mother's Day, recommended products, I did the in-home concierge and then the basic DIY 150 years because I thought those products would be a good recommendation to anyone looking for a time capsule. It's covers a price range and a different type of time capsule. I know after watching yours, you did the in-home concierge. So can
Yes.
you tell me a little bit about that so the audience knows what to expect if they go to choose that option for their mom?
Well, that was a great option because it's in the comfort on your of your house, and also with somebody that knows what they're doing, right? So you just sit and kind of like have a conversation. It's like a natural conversation that you're having. I mean, it's easy to just go on and on and on. So it's good to have somebody kind of like guiding you with, with questions and
Yeah.
kind of like some feedback of what you're saying and kind of like, counter question, that sort of thing. But it was great. It was easy. This person came into the house, installed all the equipment like in 10 minutes, just picked actually the right place in the house with the right light, and off we went and we did it. And it was great. And I had my kids in that, little piece of video that you showed at the beginning of the podcast. And it was, I mean, they didn't want to be in camera. So Ella had to be there with all the toys singing, but it was nice because they felt, they were in the comfort of their home as well. So it's a great solution. I mean, obviously, it's the best thing to have somebody in the house helping you do it. Definitely.
Yeah. And did you feel like a celebrity? I know they bring the lighting, the sound.
Yeah, lights and like, everything seems to be like, perfect for you to look perfect and sound perfect.
Yeah. No,
But in
I
the
love.
end, it's just being able to capture that moment is it's great.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a great experience for you, which I'm happy to hear since, I am recommending these time capsules to people. And, I wonder if your husband or your kids, gifted this for Mother's Day, how would you react? Not obviously you've already done one, so you know what the product is, but when we approached you, for example, and we were explaining the product, what was your first impression, your first reaction? I'd love to get a sense of where your mind was at.
I mean, I think to me, it was about being able to capture, what I was thinking in that moment in time. There's just so much that goes, in our mind. And especially having kids. I remember when I had my kids, people used to say, "Oh, they're gonna grow so fast," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever." They do. They grow very, very fast. So
Yes.
being able to kind of like sit and like think through it and think about these things and record it and and keep that memory that then you can look in 20 years and see what was going on 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I think is great.
Yeah, me too. I'm so glad that you got a lot out of it. I'm definitely someone who likes to preserve everything. So I made my own time capsule and I'm excited to do it, when I have kids so that I can see how they
Yeah.
grow and how I grow as a mom. So, to sum up your experience for the audience, because I know you have to go actually pick up your kids, so I don't want
I
to make
know.
you wait for that. So yeah, just sum up to the audience what your experience was and any advice that you can give to them, because I know a lot of people are interested in purchasing the in-home concierge product, and I know that you killed it with your video. So any tips and tricks so that they could have a really great product as well.
I think the experience it's an easy experience because you got, the service and the structures that you guys have and the technology provide, an easy way of doing it. So there's no reason to feel like, this is just too much or like too far away or, too complicated. It's easy. And that to me is important. But the other thing is that it's that opportunity to capture, what you're thinking, what you're feeling in that moment in time and making sure that, your thoughts and, what you're going through is not going to be lost forever and it's not going to be forgotten. I mean, it's a great name. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you were able to come in, and I'm glad I finally got to meet you. I've watched your video a ton. So thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you have to go get your kids. Don't want to stop you from being
Thanks,
late.
Elise.
But yeah,
No, that's fine. Thank you for inviting me over. Thank you.
of course. Happy Mother's Day, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Thank you, Catalina.
Yes, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, so that was Catalina. Always great to have a guest who has already done a not forgotten time capsule. They could really understand the product and ways that you can explain it to others. Again, we are talking about Mother's Day and how you can use these time capsules to capture your mom in the best light. They are such wholesome gifts that she will love, and people love them when they want to capture, their memories and reflect on their lives and take some time for themselves. We all know that mothers are, super busy. They're our cheerleaders. They're always there for us and they're thoughtful. So let's be thoughtful with them as well. Especially for new mothers. I think Catalina said it best when she wanted to, keep capturing her children as they evolve. She wants to do one every 1 year, which I thought was great. I personally am going to do one every 5 years once I have kids, but it is a really great way to kind of just keep taking pictures, keep preserving their memories, making sure that nothing ever gets lost or subject to data rot, which I want to bring up with you guys because data rot is something that impacts everyone. I did not know what it was until I started working at Not Forgotten, and it does impact your data the same way as, if you had a physical photo, for example, if you have a photograph, it gets brown, the edges curl up, and that's what happens after time. Time aging is inevitable, especially with photos, with paper documents, anything like that. So, the way in which your photos break down over time, that happens to your data as well. And that's what data rot is. So we have made an amazing technology stack to ensure that your data will never be subject to data rot. So when Catalina was talking about, where do I put all my photos and videos so that they don't, go to waste or fall apart and ruin, this is a great solution, and this is exactly why we do what we do. So amazing to have Catalina on. This is just a great gift to capture the journey of motherhood, the thrills and embarrassments of motherhood, and we're striving for less judgment, more laughter, and we want to make sure that everyone gets to make a time capsule, especially grandmas. Grandmas are often forgot about on Mother's Day, but they are also mothers. So if your grandma wants to make a time capsule for herself or for her kids or her grandchildren, this is definitely an amazing gift for her as well. Again, mothers, grandmothers, these really important women in our lives, they play various roles. They're our biggest cheerleaders, our teachers, our tutors, our sports coach, our personal chefs, etc. They are going to give us such great advice that can be passed down for generations. So we might as well store that in a time capsule, revisit it. It's true wisdom that we do want to cherish. So that's why I'm going to bring on another guest who is a grandma who's also made a time capsule, and I'm going to just ask her a little bit about her experience and also just her perspective as being a mom. We want to talk today about, everyone's experience and really learn through storytelling about everyone and their lives. So we're going to bring on Linda Kreider today. I invited her to the show to share top advice from the time capsule that she made, some advice that her mom gave her. I also invited her to the show, of course, to talk about motherhood and what it has taught her and the advice she would give to others. She's older. She offers a different experience, more wisdom, and she grew up in a different time. So, I mean, the Not Forgotten technology is fairly new. I would love to see, what she thinks about it and what she thought about motherhood based on what it was and what maybe it would feel like in 2021. So with further ado, we're going to bring on Linda Kreider. And here she is. Hi, Linda. How are you today? Can you hear me?
Hello.
So, obviously
Yes, I can.
this is my grandma, Linda, and she is not the most tech savvy, but she's joined us today, and I'm super excited to ask her some questions. I think she's a great guest. We'll give you guys a broad range of the impact that time capsules can have and the impact that mothers have. It is Mother's Day in 2 days, so that's why we were talking about these time capsules and what would make such a great Mother's Day gift and what to do with them. So, Grandma, first, introduce yourself to the audience in the best way that you want to. Tell us a little bit about where yourself and where you're from, that sort of thing. Grandma? Well, guys, she is in rural Michigan, so sometimes it cuts out a little bit. Thank God that didn't happen when she was filming her Not Forgotten time capsule. She did do the in-home concierge. I might have to just take it from here, but she did the in-home concierge. Someone came into her house in Michigan, in northern Michigan, and were able to film her, gave her the celebrity treatment, lights, audio, all of that. Oh, she's back. Let's see if we can bring her in. Hey, Grandma, can you hear me?
Yeah, it conked out. Yeah, I can hear you. It conked out for a few minutes, but I'm back on.
Okay, she's back. What can't mothers do, huh? So, today, again, Linda Kreider. Grandma, can you just introduce yourself to the crowd and tell them, who you are and where you're from?
Okay. My name is Linda. I'm from Michigan, northern Michigan, and I have two children and three grandchildren. And I think Not Forgotten is a great way to have a video so that after I'm gone, my children and my grandchildren will be able to see what I sounded like, what I was interested in. And I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, me too. And Grandma, I think, your video was amazing. You also had the opportunity to do the in-home concierge gift, right? So the videographers came into your house.
Yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your experience with the videographers. Because as the audience can tell, she's not the most
I'm,
tech savvy. So if my
I'm
grandma can do
afraid,
it,
yeah.
you guys can do it.
It, it,
All right, well,
that
what,
we'd
Grandma?
have had these years ago.
Grandma, can you hear me?
It, it keeps in and out.
Grandma, just asking you to explain, you had the video in your house, right?
Yes, I did. And
Okay, guys. Well, stay tuned. She's having some tech issues. So I think she's frozen. But I will say she did have the in-home concierge, just like Catalina, and two videographers came into her house. They brought her lighting, sound, anything. There she goes. Anything that she needed, and thank God for that, because clearly my grandma is, she's in the middle of nowhere, so it's not great. And also, she's not the most tech savvy, but we're gonna keep trying because we love our grandmas here. Okay, Grandma, we're gonna try this one more time. Can you hear me still?
I like doing my video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I I enjoyed doing that video. In the beginning, I was a little nervous, and I loved it.
I know you said you were nervous. What made you nervous, and how did the videographer make you
Yeah.
feel less nervous?
Well, I'm not one to talk about personal things in front of people, and to sit there. They'd ask questions, and I thought I wouldn't be able to do it, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I talked about everything they asked me to talk about, and I I wasn't nervous at all. Like, it came out really good.
Yes, it
I
did.
would do it again.
Yeah, I love it. I love your video. I watch it a lot. I'm excited to show, my kids who my grandma was. And, in the spirit of
This
Mother's
is
Day,
just
because that's what we're talking about here, what's one of your earliest memories with your own mom?
of my mother.
Yes.
Uh,
She's frozen, but I think you guys can still hear her. Well, once she unfreezes, very glad that she didn't get the basic DIY time capsule because she might have had some issues filming it. But Yep, there she goes. So the heart's there. She's trying, but yeah, she had a really great experience filming her time capsule. I learned so much about my grandma that I didn't know about beforehand. She was a war baby. She was born on a table. I thought that was interesting. And here she is again. I want to see if we can do this more time. All right, Grandma, can you hear me now? Okay. So, what is one of the
Yes, yeah, I don't know why, but this just keeps conking out.
It's all right. What's one of your earliest memories with your
One of
own?
the earliest memories.
Yes.
We, my mother and I used to like to watch old movies,
Yeah.
and if I didn't like, I wasn't a Joan Crawford fan, and so she used to scare me. So I would hide behind my mother and just peek out at the movie every once in a while. And I remember that, and we used to read together in the evening. I'd read my Little Women book, and she'd read her newspapers. And
Oh,
so it was the time I think that we shared just the two of us. That was
yeah.
fun.
I love that. That's probably why you love reading so much, right? Oh man. Well, yeah. While she's frozen, I will say, these time capsules are a really great way to, remember your family. I know that she shared a lot when she was doing hers about her mom. Of course, her mom's no longer with us, but she brought a lot into my grandma's life that she was able to implement into her own. She brought with her the love of reading, and they did that together. So there is that shared activity. Think about you guys when you're thinking about Mother's Day and a time capsule, what you want to put in there. What do you guys do together? If you're gifting this for your mom, maybe you could get some footage of you guys doing this, whatever you do together. For my grandma, of course, that was reading and watching a specific kind of movie. And I think that was unifying. We're going to bring her in one more time. We're just going to keep trying until this works. Okay, you back. Okay, Grandma,
I'm back.
what was the first year of motherhood like for you?
I think it's learning. You've never taken care of children before. I remember uh, giving Paul his first bath, and his grandmother would show me how to do it and what to do right and what not to do. And I think it's all the learning.
Hmm.
That's fun. It's all
Learning.
new, a
Oh.
brand new experience.
Yes. And when did you know you were ready to have kids? It's such a huge decision. I feel like you were young when you had them, probably 18, or is that when you got married?
I got married at 19, and I had Paul at 20,
Hmm.
and I wanted to have children right away. I, I, I think they could have handed me Paul on the way down the aisle after the wedding, and I would have been perfectly happy.
I think what she said was they could have handed her Paul, my dad, at the end of the wedding. They could have handed her a baby and she would have been very happy, which I love. Obviously, back then, people were having kids, a lot sooner than we do now. I know that she just said she had her first kid at 20. My mom had me at 30. So, as we go on and life changes, we're all having kids at different rates. And that's just something else I want to talk about because motherhood is beautiful and it evolves throughout history. And that's what these time capsules can also capture, just the evolution of not only what you choose to do, but what the world chooses to do. Not many people nowadays are getting married at 18 or 19. So I think that's something really interesting to note because this is going to be, it's going to be history and you're going to be able to revisit it. And I think that's really beautiful as well. So she's back and I guess we're going to do one question at a time. And she's back.
Yeah.
Okay, Grandma, I know that you worked for a while after having dad.
Yes.
and Leanne, what is it like being a working mom at that time? Would you do it all over again? And what would you change?
I think it's hard to be a working mother. You miss things that you want to be there for everything that they learn when they take their first steps, when they start to talk, when they get outside and get to wander around and see new things. You want to be there every minute. So working's hard. It takes a lot of time away from your kids.
Would you do it all over
But
again?
a lot
If
of
you
times,
could. What would you change?
a lot of times you have no choice.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Knowing what you do know now, what advice would you give to your younger self at age 20, maybe 30, 40? Can you hear me? Okay. Grandma? All right, guys. Obviously, we're getting an exclusive interview with Linda. She takes one question at a time. Very hard to book her. She's a busy woman. But as we're waiting for her to hop back out, hop back in, I want the audience to remember that, just because we have stored pictures of our mom in the cloud, it doesn't mean that they will survive the test of time. As I said before, data rot infects everything. It is just inevitable. It is a hard pill to swallow, but that's what it is. It doesn't mean that we will be able to look at them or show our loved ones these pictures when she's no longer around because of that. So I want you to remember the reason why we're even making these time capsules in the first place. And, my grandma's back, so we're going to do another question. Okay, Grandma, you're back. Okay, so what? What?
To enjoy at every stage of when you have a child. They're changing all the time. They're learning from you and from everybody that's around them, from their grandparents and from the kids they play with. They're learning things all of the time,
Yeah,
and just enjoy them.
yeah. I love that. Is that the advice that you would give to your younger self or any mother having kids?
And to any mother having kids, it's a big responsibility, and you want to teach them things all the time and teach them to be a good person, but enjoy them first.
Yeah. And with that being said, what is one of your happiest memories being a mom?
Wow, my happiest memory. Oh, Christmas is, of course,
Well, guys, her heart is in the right place. It is unfortunately in a rural part of northern Michigan. But my grandma is filled with wisdom that she has put into a time capsule. Thank God. So I will be able to see it. I'm going to be able to show my kids, what my grandma was like. Imagine being able to do that with your own family. Imagine, having your mom and being able to show your mom to your grandchildren. It's a really beautiful unifying moment that we're able to give you here at Not Forgotten. And I think that's amazing. We are living in the age of technology, and our lives are being captured digitally for the first time in our lives. We take thousands and thousands of pictures. As Catalina said, she takes a ton of pictures and videos. But what is the point of taking these if they're not going to, be in great quality, and if they're going to just rot away? That's why we're doing what we're doing. And that's why we make these time capsules. And it doesn't have to happen to you or your mom. Be smart, save what you want before it's too late, so that you can celebrate your mom for as long as you live. And of course, it's Mother's Day. We want to celebrate her. And my grandma's back, so here we go. So, Grandma, did you hear my last question?
Yes, uh, we're, we're on low battery here, so yeah, I think just watching your kids' excitement over things that you don't even think about anymore. You know, getting a new bike, having a new friend, starting school, all the first things they go through. It's exciting to watch them go through it. You forget how it was when you were a kid because it's been well, for me, a long time ago. And to watch kids do that again and see the excitement and the fact they're looking forward to all of this stuff, that's what sticks in my mind.
Yeah, it is a good point. You know, their firsts are very exciting, and to be able to put that in a time capsule, I think would be, a great idea for anyone watching. You know, think about, your kids at picture day and how nice and sharp they look, and having them on your time capsule with you, just like Catalina did. You know, having her kids. And she's able to see the evolution of her as a mother and her children as well. So I think that's really beautiful. You know, we should care about this stuff. We should preserve it. Moms do so much for us. You know, the least we could do is tell them that we love them, that their stories matter, and that we appreciate them. And Grandma, how would you like you? I know you made these time capsules for your children and for your grandchildren, of course. How would you like your children to remember you?
Uh, I guess just as a kind person, someone that would not ever hurt someone or be cruel or to say terrible things about people. I want them to think of me as being kind,
Yeah.
be a good person,
Well, you're
to
definitely
be
a good
helpful.
because you are helping me do this, even if you are living in rural Michigan.
Well, I'm sorry it isn't going smoother, but it just keeps conking out on me. And you're right, I'm not very electronic savvy.
Yeah, she's not, but she was able to do a time capsule, and I think that's a good sign, right? And Grandma, if
It's I think it's a great thing to do. It makes you kind of relive a lot of things that you've been through, and you don't even think about it. But when
yeah,
they ask the questions and you relive it, it's fun.
yeah, tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about something that they interviewed you, and they asked you a question, and it brought up an old memory that maybe you hadn't even thought about in many years. What's an example of that when you were doing your own time capsule? That might have been too long of a question. It might have conked her out a bit. Um, all right, guys. Well, I think that you got the general idea coming from a broad range of people, mothers, grandmas, who have done these time capsules with us, and um, I think that that's exactly what we're trying to portray. These time capsules are truly for anyone, for any age, any demographic. And I just want to mention as well, because these time capsules are 30-minute video messages. But if your mom or your grandma is someone who really doesn't like being in front of the camera, obviously don't pressure them. But I will say my grandma doesn't love being in front of the camera, and she was able to do it. That's funny. I'll put that back on. Grandma, I'm just talking about, how you're not someone who loves being in front of the camera.
No, I'm not. And it was easy. I was so surprised. It was easy. It was fun, and it. I would do it again.
I'm glad. Yeah, so I'm going to thank you right here before your technology conks out again. Thank you
Thank you.
for being a guest on Time with Elyse. And I have to ask, before you go, can you just tell the audience some advice for when they're doing their own time capsules? Hopefully, our listeners are going to purchase these for Mother's Day gifts. So, what are some tips and tricks from Linda to make their process go smoothly?
I wish they had had this years ago when my parents were alive. I think this is a wonderful thing to have, to have your kids be able to see, your grandchildren be able to see. They have great grandchildren that you may not even get to know, be able to see what you look like, what you sounded like, what you thought about. I think it's a really good thing to do.
Great. I do too. I'm so happy that you have one, so I'll be able to show my children what you're like, and be able to give them a better picture beyond something like a photograph. So thank you, Grandma, so much for joining us. Happy early Mother's Day. I will call you on Sunday. And thank you for being here.
Uh, it was my pleasure. I loved it. Thank you for asking me.
Of course. Okay, I'll call you after this. I'm going to finish up.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So that, of course, is my grandma. Clearly, she lives in Michigan, and she's in the rural part, so her technology isn't great. But if she can manage to do a time capsule, a really great one as well, you guys can too. So, I just want you guys to remember that anyone can do these. They're a really great way to preserve your history and to give each other advice, big, little advice, the secrets of happiness, tips and tricks, wear your sunscreen, don't be with more boys that are mean to you, the typical mom stuff that everyone constantly says. I think it's a great way to capture all of that and bottle all of that advice in a place where it'll be protected and accessible for generations. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Time with Elyse. And make sure to follow us on Instagram at Take Me Back Time Capsule, and like our Facebook page and follow our podcast, of course, to keep up to date with our journey of Not Forgotten. Discover the many, many ways that you can take advantage of these revolutionary products. Nothing like this is on the market right now. So be sure to take advantage of that. Make your own time capsule, save it with your digital media. And, as I was saying before, one more thing is that if you are someone who doesn't like to sit in front of the camera, that's totally fine. There are options. You can make a photo slideshow and do a voiceover. I've seen people do that as well. Luckily, my grandma was able to get over those fears, and she had an amazing experience with the in-home concierge. So if that sounds like you, and you kind of want to do it, but you're not sure, I suggest you take the leap. If you don't want to do it, but you still want to make a time capsule, you can as well. So these really are great gifts for everyone. Make the most out of your time capsule. Remember your mom. Show your mom that her story matters, so much so that you want to save it for up to 300 years. It's an amazing, priceless gift that she's going to really appreciate. And I know that you've given her a ton of materials, so let's try something new this year and be smart and think about a gift that will be very useful for her and for you, in order to remember who she was and, receive comfort when you need it. I know Catalina mentioned that her happiest memory with her mom is just being comforted when she was sick, whether that be just her voice, the things that she would say, or the things that she would do. You're able to put digital media in these time capsules when you get one with either 2 gigabytes or 20, and put her voice in there. Remember the way she sounded, remember her laugh. These are some priceless things about, the human experience that we all want. We all want to remember our loved ones. We don't want anyone to be forgotten. Of course, they are not forgotten. And yeah, so keep up with us and let's see what we can do with these time capsules. If you want to purchase our products, if anything I said today resonated with you and you want to try it out, head over to our website, not-forgotten.com, or our storefront on Amazon. As we said, there are 2 days until Mother's Day, but thankfully we are on Amazon Prime. So if you're interested, go ahead and do that. Show mom that you care about her. Show mom that her story matters. And ask yourself, is her story worth saving? I bet it is. So we will catch you next time. Again, thank you so much for being here with me today. And have a good one, guys. Happy Mother's Day.